Hello, friends. Hello. So today we are covering I was going to say Phoenix Diaries. We are covering the gene key of the transit. The collective is transiting through gene key 6 from September 14th to September 20th, 2024. If you find this video later on, um, just you can apply it to whatever key you have it in, whatever sphere you have it in. You can apply it to a transit. We're going to speak about the gene key 6 in a very general sense. And I actually don't have too many personal stories of anything that I've experienced with this transit. Um, I used to feel the gene key 6 all the time. I was in a long term intimate relationship with someone who had this as their conscious earth. And I feel I've experienced the 6, the beautiful gene key 6, and all its shadow frequencies. Oh my goodness. Anyway, we move on, we get better, we do better. So let's get into the key. I digress. We will be reading today from the Gene Key Bible by Richard Rudd. I also have the City Bible, which is Dare to be Divine. Beautiful. It's his most recent book, I believe. And I'm just going to go ahead and find the 6th key here, so I have it ready to go. And one thing that would be important to note, as I like to do, if for all my human design nerds, the 6th gene key, the 6th gate comes out of the solar plexus, which is the emotional center. It is a center that rules our nervous system, and it is a very prominent center in our collective. About 50% of the population have defined solar plexus. And according to Ra and Richard, we are moving to a more solar plexus activated society, which hence the prophecy of the sleeping phoenix, which is a conversation for another day. But I would encourage you to start to look into that and open yourself up to that. We have a big old change afoot, y'all, and it's super exciting. So the 6th gene key, as I mentioned, we are transiting through. We have one more day left of it. And it moves from the shadow of conflict to the gift of diplomacy and the city of peace. It is a Virgo energy, obviously, because I know that because we are in Virgo season. So this is the transiting key through Virgo. So our sun is moving through a Virgo sign, the Virgo keys. So the 6th key is Virgo energy. Let's start with the shadow, shall we? Conflict. The 6th shadow of conflict is the single most influential gene key in regard to the issue of human communication. At its highest potential, the 6th gene key is the archetype of peace on earth, whilst at its lowest potential, it is the root cause of all human conflict. This is why I made the comment that I did in the beginning. I was like, ugh. Yeah, this key can be, as you'll hear, extremely identified with its emotions. If you are having a very emotional week or feel extra sensitive, this key is certainly influencing that solar plexus. So if you don't already have a 6th gate activated in your profile or in your human design, then this will be affecting you. Also, if you are not typically a solar plexus activated being, then this key could be affecting you as well, making you an emotional being potentially, depending on the synastry of the transit laid over your human design chart, which is a more in-depth conversation. Anyway, back to the shadow, conflict. The 6th shadow can be interpreted individually through relationships or collectively through communities. At an individual level, this shadow manifests through your emotional state. If you have ever been emotionally repressed through shame or guilt or abuse, the entire culture within your being has been disturbed. Likewise, if you are utterly ruled by your emotions, there can be no sense of harmony inside you. It is well known how much your emotional state influences your biological health. If you are stressed emotionally, your body will suffer. The body keeps the score. One of the best books ever. Emotional problems are the greatest cause of illness on our planet, and the 36th shadow of turbulence, the programming partner to this sixth shadow, reinforces this fact. Also, another great book around that thread is Louise Hay's You Can Heal Your Life, I believe. And it is emotional causes and an emotional dictionary for physical ailments. And then it gives not only the causes, but then it'll give mantras to assist in your healing. So it's awesome for understanding and then amazing for healing. So let's go over the two ways the shadow can express repressive or reactive. Of course, the repressive is more yin, the reactive is more masculine, yang, so you can see where you fall. And I am trying to get comfy here. I put a new pillow situation in my chair and it's making me a little bit higher than I'm used to on this camera. And then I'm kind of like trying to get my legs comfy. Having a little bit of conflict here. Repressive nature, over attentive. The repressive nature of the sixth shadow is concerned with maintaining peace between people regardless of the cost. This pattern is based entirely upon fear and means that these people will totally compromise themselves in order to maintain control of their emotional environment. This is the defense pattern of over attentiveness, and these are the people pleasers. The repressive nature will sweep conflict under the carpet by adopting any behavior that will keep it at bay. The problem here is that unless conflict is dealt with transparently, it tends to eventually explode. The over-attentive nature is at its core deeply false, which means that it will invoke unconscious distrust in others. Over-attentive natures also tend to draw tactless natures to them, resulting in some spectacularly dysfunctional relationships and family dynamics. When these people finally develop the courage to face conflict, they realize it is never as bad as they feared. Whew, that is a deep shadow. Remember, just because you might not have this key or this gate activated, it doesn't mean that it isn't felt by you or that you might not resonate with it. You may very well resonate with this and you might not have it activated, is what I'm trying to say. Okay. Reactive nature, tactless. The other side of the sixth shadow is unable to contain its emotions at all. Lack of emotional tact and timing betrays a low frequency nature that inevitably results in backlash. These people are always finding themselves in difficult emotional situations, which they make worse by giving vent to their anger, as well as projecting it onto others. They are unable to take responsibility for their own volatile feelings. Their most common defense is to lash out and then storm away. The dilemma of the tactless nature is that it is deaf to its own lack of tact. These people assume that the problem is always in the other person, which unfortunately earns them no friends and makes it very difficult for others to get close to them. The only kind of person who will remain with such a pattern is the over-attentive nature described above. The secret to breaking this pattern is for the reactive natures to take full responsibility for their emotions instead of remaining stuck in a teenager mentality. So I misspoke earlier when I said that I was in a long-term relationship with someone that had this in their conscious earth. They actually had it in their unconscious sun. And so if you're familiar with human design, I teach this all the time. You have two birthdays. You have the physical birthday, which you're well versed with, and typically you'll know what your sign is, and hopefully you're getting familiar with your gate or key. And then you'll have an unconscious birthday, which is approximately 88 days before your physical birth, and it's when the soul is said to enter the fetus. This is a beautiful impact moment. It is a date that, again, it's about 88 days before your physical birth, and it's said to code the body. It's said to code the unconscious behaviors. And so this person that I was referring to had this key as their unconscious son. So it was programmed in their body, which made this this energy even more unconscious to them. And I'm smiling and laughing, recognizing myself in this when it said the only kind of person who will remain with such a pattern is the over attentive nature described above. So I 100% see the over attentive in me, and then the reactive nature in this past situation, to a T. When it said, not taking responsibility and remaining stuck in a teenager mentality, that is no exaggeration. This key can be extremely nasty when in the reactive nature. Breaking things, acting out on people, yelling, screaming. I mean, it is so volatile, which is interesting because it's a Virgo energy, and you wouldn't think that it has that potential. But of course, when you add earth with fire, it can just be vengeful. In my experience, this is all my opinion. Obviously, I always say that, but like you guys are tuned in to hear my opinion, I'm assuming on some level, even though I'm not that opinionated. But anywho, deep breath, conflict. Wow. Um, yeah, I don't have any stories or experiences with this key personally this during this transit. Um, we'll see as I continue to read if anything from the past wants to come up. I am thinking of one particular story where this person that I'm speaking about had an extremely rageful moment, and it always seemed to happen in the car, which is was especially scary for someone who me was definitely stuck in this over attentive energy. Even though I don't have the six, I have the 59, which plugs into the six. It forms a channel of mating in human design. So I suspect it was that alchemy that was pulling me into it, or just being in the aura of it, or just being a human who we all have access to this energy. Again, whether you have it activated or not. So uh, yeah, rageful, angry episode, screaming and yelling about something so mundane. I truly can't even remember what it was. The theme was it was always something really small that broke the camel's back. And that's how the reactive, tactless nature walks around. There's something deeply disruptive that feels big and that is um, valid. However, the behaviors, the tactlessness, really truly clouds and confuses that to where you can never truly get to a solution because there's so much damage control happening with these little micro explosions. And so I remember it was around Christmas, and he had put a little like mini snow globe up on his car. He liked to put little things up there on his car, and he was so upset. He took his phone and just threw it, and threw it, I guess, towards the dash or towards the windshield. I'm not sure what his plan was. I think when you're so overcome with rage, you don't have a plan when you're throwing things like that. And it hit the globe, the snow globe that was obviously full of little fake snow and water and a little Santa, and it shattered. And I screamed. I was in the passenger seat, and it shattered and exploded. Water went everywhere, glass went everywhere. The phone went flying. I mean, it was like terrifying because I didn't expect any of it. Aside from the yelling, that was something I had gotten used to. And my whole body was trembling. I felt so scared and was just like a gunshot went off, and then to feel the water and everything is just shocking. You're like, what the hell? It's the last thing you expect to feel in the car. And I remember there was such a lack of ability to take responsibility for the overwhelmment of the emotions. It was like blamed on me for screaming then, and blamed on the car and the phone and like weird things. I really truly remember it was like being with a unruly teenager that unfortunately already had their driver's license. So we proceeded to drive, and it was like the scariest car ride I've ever been in. I tell these stories to remind myself how far we've come. And if you see yourself in that six, or if you see someone in that six, uh, it, recognize it and understand that. And hopefully, the gift in the city will give us some advice on how to transmute this energy. But I would highly encourage you to not remain in the over attentive nature, which, as it says here, this is the only kind of person who will remain with such a pattern, is the over attentive nature. So that was my responsibility in the that over attentiveness, people pleasing, trying to maintain control and manage emotions of others. Just never again. No, thank you. So let's go to the gift now. Diplomacy. The ability to adjust your own behavior to create a harmonious exchange with others. This is diplomacy. This gift is a byproduct of opening your heart to another person. As you become clearer about your own emotional conditioning, you begin to feel more peaceful. Because this gift is so deeply connected with the pH balance in your physical body, it also has the effect of stabilizing the emotional aura in your environment. In other words, when one is able to see and own their unconscious projections, they actually rapture and rupture the collective shadow patterns wherever they go. If one person is not playing the reaction blame game, the other is forced to come to terms with their own demons. Give one more nugget from the gift. The gift of diplomacy is far more than the ability to speak the right words. That is a mere surface skill that can be mastered by anyone, even at a low frequency. True diplomacy is an energetic gift operating through a person's aura. Because this sixth gene key is so embedded within human sexuality, it is about the penetration of borders and boundaries. Because of the sixth shadow, there is tremendous friction between the opposite sexes. Both sides are so busy defending their individuality that there is very little real love or connection. But this friction is maintained only as long as each party hangs on to its defenses. As the gift of the sixth enters into human relationships, the emotional barriers begin to break down between people. The gift of the sixth catalyzes the process of dissolving the natural friction between opposites, and in doing so, it allows a far greater exchange of energy between them. This is exactly what the experience of falling in love is. Beautiful. Okay, shall we move to the city? Peace. Um, I love this. It says the ultimate defense is emptiness. Emptiness. And immediately I thought of a very famous line from a book, A Course in Miracles. The beautiful, excuse me. Oh, I felt that yawn coming the whole video. I thought I was going to be able to hold it. A Course in Miracles is a beautiful spiritual text. Highly recommend checking out, especially the workbook in the back. It's very practical. It's a daily practice. It's gorgeous. But it made me think of that quote from that book. In my defenselessness, my safety lies. I am safe when I am defenseless. Requires contemplation. This is the essence of the wisdom taught by the great sages. Defense maintains the illusion that we are separate. As such, it is truly futile because it protects against something that doesn't really exist in the first place. There is a famous story called The Empty Boat, told by Chinese sage Chag Tzu. One day, an old man was crossing a river in his boat when he mistakenly collided with another boat. The man in the second boat began shouting to the old man, cursing him. However, to the second man's dismay, the old man did not react in any way whatsoever, but just stared at him impassively. The old man was so enlightened and being who had transcended all sense of his own individuality. For him, there was no one in his boat to be shouted at. Thus, there was no one to defend, and therefore no reaction within his being. The sixth city of peace is one of the truly great cities. It is the underlying nature of all the cities. In point of fact, It is the underlying nature of form itself once its true essence has been realized as consciousness. This sixth city is the final result of the process that occurs in the sixth gift. The sixth gift is marked by a constant balancing of opposites. In this sense, diplomacy requires a subtle effort, since it is juggling within the realms of duality. However, at a certain point, this process spontaneously gives way to the sixth city, and duality itself is transcended. You might say that whilst the sixth gift is the activity that maintains peacefulness, the sixth city is peace itself. Peace is the reality that is experienced once all boundaries have dissolved. It is the true nature of humanity. So, let us read from Dare to be Divine, the Book of Cities. Peace on earth and goodwill. The sixth city is a bit of a wow city. This is already discussed in the Gene Keys book. It's about the body learning to live off light through the new awareness we are developing. In this sense, this is a special gene key for this particular time in our evolution because it holds the instructions for our future body. The sixth city is going to rebuild the Garden of Eden. In this pillar of light, the future meets the past. The Garden of Eden was here at the beginning and will be here at the end, but right now we are in the middle. Oh, we need a nap. Dare to be gentle reminds us that everything is okay. The Great Mother holds us in her embrace. All will be well. All is well. And this peace is a balm for our souls. It abides within the cells of each and every one of us. It's a memory signature written in light, a frequency we will one day rise into, and we each contain it. Dare to be gentle also involves the gift of diplomacy. This dare is a very practical dare concerning relationships. It teaches us to bring tenderness into the many ways that we connect with each other. Emotions put us through quite a test. Peace in a relationship can only occur when at least one of the two partners manages to take full responsibility for his or her emotional state. Diplomacy isn't the same as politeness. Politeness can repress. Diplomacy feels the emotion but chooses to express it in a way that projects no personal agenda or blame. In fact, with diplomacy, emotion is expressed through caring. So your love becomes a conscious choice over your reaction. This is the definition of diplomacy. If even one person does this in a relationship, suddenly the fire, the angst, the argument are gone. If one refuses to argue, what's the other one going to do? The Venus sequence teaches us the subtle art of tenderness. Excuse me. It awakens the sixth city of peace in each of us and shows us how to bring it into our relationships. Perhaps you might think that this kind of peace sounds dull or somehow boring. What? No arguing? No fire or anguish and suffering? No, it is not boring. It is radical. Peace is a city. It's heaven on earth inside your body. This is one of the Christ cities. This whole group of cities is Christ-centric. The infinite tenderness of the 37th city, the 37th gene key is symbolized by the lamb. This is infinite tenderness. It's Mother Mary holding the baby. Even the numbers themselves tell a story. In the Hebrew number system known as gematria, 37 is a special number. It's the number of Christ consciousness. The number 6 is equally unique in this way, for it is imprinted within everything in the cosmos. When you come to the gene keys, whichever sequence you look at, you find these 6 qualities of the 6 lines of every hexagram. The city of peace is like this too. It's repeated everywhere in creation. This is also one of the great cities of healing. A few of the cities specifically target disease. The terrific power of the healing light this city emits can bring about instantaneous healing. More than this, the sixth city contains the codes of a future medicine for humanity that is rooted in color. The human aura is essentially a rainbow. We live on 7 layers or planes, and each plane is underpinned by gradations of tone and color. To bring the whole system into balance is like tuning the 7 strings of a harp. Your chemistry can be tuned through light, sound, and diet. This new healing science is rooted in a deep understanding of color. Disease is perceived as an imbalance or excess of particular colors somewhere in the aura. Once the imbalance is found, it can be specifically targeted. Where there is an excess, the opposite or complementary color is nourished, and where there is deficiency, the color tone is built up and its opposite is reduced. The tones are balanced within the body by means of the pH scale, which hinges on the number 7, representing equilibrium. This is achieved by addressing diet, light, and sound. Diet is thus essentially a matter of musical frequency. I am writing this to demonstrate how certain cities contain entire transmissions which can one day assist humanity to make quantum leaps in understanding how we work. This is a leap into holism, and it's essentially to the medicine of the future that the higher realms are taken into account. How could they not be? And then, as we tune our vehicle to its highest pitch, so our consciousness ripens and the sixth city begins to radiate light through our skin. This is a hallmark of the sixth city, the translucence that can be seen and felt around a true master. Well, I sure do hope you enjoy the rest of this transit. If you have the sixth key, I hope that this helps make things a little bit more clear. And may we continue to contemplate, what does a peaceful interaction with another look like? How can we embody the peace and bring that to our relationships, to situations? How can we bless the road before us for the day? This is something I've been contemplating, and I think this key goes perfectly with it, to bring peace before me, to allow it to enter the door before I do. To, as it mentioned, to set the tone of the frequency in the room, because there's such a presence of peace emanating through every cell in my body. So it's bigger than just the bickering between you and your partner. It's bigger than the conflict that might be present between you and your boss. This is health, essentially. This is what this peace energy has the potential to do. So I pray that you'll be able to lean into it. I hope that this will be helpful. If you have anything to share, please do. I love you, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.